Hey there, my name is Darryl Woods and I work at Hollywood St. Paul's and Adult Services, and this is 10 Quick Facts about Epidemics. Now this time we're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm kind of work this as a countdown, and I'm going to do the 10 most deadly epidemics of all time, starting with number 10, working way up to number 1. The numbers that you see for fatalities are the highest estimate for each of these epidemics. So let's get into it. Number 10 is the Russian typhus epidemic. Typhus is a bacterial infection that's primarily spread by body lice. This particular outbreak was exacerbated by World War I, which saw soldiers in close proximity in some very unhygienic environments. Number 9, the Mexico smallpox epidemic. Unsurprisingly, smallpox was introduced to the native population by Spanish imperialists. Some indigenous nations were completely wiped out by this disease, and it was a continuous issue in Mexico until a vaccine was developed. Number 8, the Antonine plague. Roman soldiers fighting in the Far East likely introduced and promoted the spread of this disease. This plague even claimed the life of the emperor Lucius Verus, who was the adopted son of Antoninus Pius, for whom the plague was named for. Number 7, the Cocoliztli Epidemic. This disease was also known as the Great Pestilence, and researchers to this day cannot identify what exactly infected the people, but it manifested itself with high fever and bleeding. Number 6, the third bubonic plague. The World Health Organization removed this plague from the list of global pandemics once the number of annual deaths dropped below 200. The count has declined every year since then. Number 5, the COVID-19 pandemic, the 5th most deadly epidemic of all time. And we're number 1. We're number 1. No country has more COVID-19 fatalities than the United States. Brazil, India, Mexico, and Russia round out the top 5. Number 4, HIV/AIDS epidemic. In 2020, the number of people infected by HIV/AIDS stood at approximately 37.6 million people globally, including the 1.7 million under the age of 15. Stay-at-home orders due to the COVID pandemic have likely lowered the rate of transmission over the last year and a half, but have made acquiring treatment and services for the infected more difficult. Number 3, the plague of Justinian. Feeding all of the people in Constantinople was difficult, so the Roman Empire imported a lot of grain from Egypt and stored it in silos until it would be consumed. Rats would frequently accompany these grain shipments, and the fleas who were infected with the plague came along for the ride. Number 2, Spanish flu. This infection broke out near the end of the First World War. The countries that participated in this war were aware of the infection but chose not to publicize it because they were concerned about how the news might affect the morale of the combatants. Spain did not originate this flu. They were just the only ones brave enough to announce it. And the punishment for that bravery was we named the flu after them. Also notice how short of a time this epidemic lasted. I'm going to be so disappointed with all of our current medical and technological advancements if the Spanish flu lasts too much shorter than this COVID epidemic. Come on, people. Okay, and finally, number 1, the Black Death. Just like the previous bubonic plague outbreak, this one was caused by fleas inhabiting rats traveling on ships, but this time it wasn't ships carrying grain, but ships carrying slaves from Crimea. Medical scholars at the time often blamed it on a certain alignment of planets, thinking that this cosmic event was causing a pestilence in the air. Many religious figures claimed it was a punishment from God and that the infected were sinners being washed from the earth. All right, so there you have it. Those are your top 10 most deadly epidemics of all time. I don't know how much you could have enjoyed this. but I'm thankful that you came along for the ride, and I do want to express my appreciation to Melissa. She does such a great job, and I definitely do appreciate her, and I do appreciate you as well for, like I said, coming along for that ride. Until next time, enjoy yourself.